y'all talk. See my kicks when I see y'all walk. Flex on me, y'all ain't strong. Say my name, that's Sam Law. Still on top, yeah, it's been that long. They won't know till I say I'm gone. They won't know, say my name. Hey everyone, welcome to That Sam Law Show. Today's guest is a good friend of mine. We've been friends for about 14 years. So when I was a young Sam Law, just moseying on around trying to figure out life, actually towards the end of my college career, I had the pleasure of meeting this gentleman. His name is Jaire Donald, and he is the owner of Leonine Consulting. So Jaire, tell my audience about yourself.
Hi everyone, my name is Jaire Donald. I am the owner of Leonine Consulting. I am an anthropologist, I am a coach, I am a teacher, as well as a model. So I wear many hats and I do many things, and I will continue to do many things.
He's literally my version of the most interesting man in the world. I don't know if he drinks Dos Equis. I don't even know if that's a thing anymore. But this is the millennial version of the most interesting man in the world.
Thank you.
So, I know you refer to yourself as a Renaissance man, and rightly so. Can you explain what that is to my audience and why?
Yeah, sure. So a Renaissance man is basically from the time period of like the Renaissance. One of the most famous Renaissance men was Leonardo da Vinci. And what that means is like you are good or great at many things, a jack of all trades. They say, the saying is a jack of all trades, but a master of none. But I'd rather be a master of multiple than a master of none, right?
Yeah.
So that is the that is the old idea behind it. And people like George Washington or Thomas Jefferson, the founding fathers, they were technically Renaissance men themselves.
That's true.
They would be great fighters, as well as great statesmen, as well as lawyers, as well as farmers. They wore many hats. There's no reason we can't do the same in the modern day as men.
That's true. I feel like that's kind of like the millennial thing. All right. So I remember back in the day, when I was a young Sam Law, now I'm an older Sam Law, a little wiser, a little cooler. Now I'm corny as I don't know what. So I remember back in the day when you'd go to like Brooklyn, you'd go to like Manhattan, you're hanging out at the bar, and you'd be like, so what do you do? That was a loaded question, because somebody's going to tell you they did 5011 things. And if y'all don't know what 5011 means, that is African American vernacular for they did a lot. So they'd be like, well, I write books on the weekends, I catch butterflies from 9 to 1, and I also make artisan milk. And you'd be like, oh, okay, that's a lot of stuff. But with you, like, a lot of your stuff kind of goes together.
Right.
Like, you're a model, you're a coach, you're a world traveler, like, businessman, like, that all kind of goes together. What is modeling like for you?
Well, modeling, first of all, it's very much a hobby and a surprise for me. It was never, ever something that I wanted to do, never something I considered. And I'm also a person who probably doesn't say no enough to opportunities that come my way.
That's smart. That's how you make more money.
So it came my way. It fell in my lap, and I said, well, I have the time for it, or I can make the time for it, rather, and decided to do that. And
that's awesome.
It's been good. It's been very good.
I model. I've been doing it since I was about 4, off and on. I really kind of sunk my teeth into it when I was probably about 28. It's like when I got signed again to a different agency out here on Long Island, and I've been doing it ever since. I think it's fun. It's a way to make extra money. It's a way to meet new people. And look, the gigs you get, like, nobody else can say they really did it. So it's an interesting conversation piece.
Exactly.
So, hey everyone, it's Sam Law of the That Sam Law Show, and I just want to welcome a very special person, our sponsor, John Bell of the Bell Law Group. John Bell, tell us about the Bell Law Group.
So we're a law firm in Syosset, Long Island, and we focus on employment law and personal injury law. The reason we focus on that is basically to fight for people in need. That's the reason why I became a lawyer, and that has been the mission of the Bell Law Group since I started it 20 years ago. Started out as a law office of Jonathan Bell, but then when it became more than just me, we decided to change the name, change the logo and branding to the Bell Law Group, and we've been out there ever since.
Great. So, John Bell, if anyone needs your services, How can they reach you?
855 John Bell, JONBELL, or on our website, belllg.com.
Thank you. So I want to dig into what Leonine Consulting is.
So Leonine Consulting it's actually two fronts, right? So the first front is actual consulting, which is more business focused. That is more like a management consultant. You know, if you ever watch something like the bar rescue, that's kind of management consulting, but I don't focus on bars. The more important, more pertinent, aspect of it is actual life coaching. And this life coaching basically is, as we discussed previously, try to bring about the qualities that can help more men become Renaissance men. So we offer fitness coaching, we offer mindset coaching, we offer style coaching, not specifically only necessarily relationship coaching, but that is as well, romantic fluency we call it. And we also offer actual social interaction coaching, because as an anthropologist, I'm also an expert on human behavior. So I'm able to translate that and help, give that into a package that people are able to digest and utilize for their own self. So
That's cool. What made you get into anthropology and where did you study?
Well, okay, so the anthropology question is a big one. I mean, I was gifted as a kid an entire encyclopedic collection of Britannica back in the
Whoa.
90s.
Whoa.
Yeah, and
The big books.
the big ones, the thick ones, and I read a lot of them. And I also would spin the globe at my house and just study it for hours on end. So that was the interest. But in terms of my actual career, I started in finance, and I absolutely hated finance. I was a credit analyst for a little while, and it was not for me. I tend to have an issue with authority that isn't competent.
Don't we all?
So if you're an authority figure that you display incompetence to me, there's no reason for me at least to follow. And I couldn't do that in that field. So I was looking for a career change, and I decided, let me see what's out there in the sciences. And anthropology was something that I knew of in concept, but not in title.
Right.
And once I found out there was an actual discipline about this thing, I was full force. I went full on. So I went back to school and basically got my bachelor's in anthropology, which was a 4-year bachelor's in 1.5 years.
Wow.
Yeah. So
That's intense.
I tested out of about 77 credits worth in one summer, going from a second semester sophomore to a graduating senior in that one summer. And then after that, I applied for my master's degree in Columbia, but got rejected. Got rejected from Columbia, decided to take that time and use it to build up some real world experience. So I decided to move to China and teach English in China. And I did that. And once I reached China, I met a coworker she was from California, and she was applying for school in the UK. And I was like, you know what? Let me try and see what school would be like in the UK, because it's a little bit shorter in terms of the length of time. It's a little bit cheaper. And the school that I was applying to was very prestigious.
What school did you end up going to?
So it was University College London.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a big one. That's up on the level of Oxford, kind of.
Yep, it is.
Wow.
At the time of attendance, it was ranked number 5 in the entire world. There was only a few ahead of it: MIT, Yale, Cambridge, not Yale, sorry, MIT, Cambridge, Oxford, and I believe Caltech were ahead of it. That's the only ones.
Smarty pants over here.
I try to be. No, but I took that opportunity when she said it, and I applied, and it was they accepted me. They were the first people to respond. They didn't waitlist me or anything, and I was like, you know what? They're the higher ranked one, so there I go. There it was.
That's beautiful. So you are a traveler.
Yes.
You get around. Listen, you started out your life in Grenada, right? And how old were you when you came stateside?
I came at 8 years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a big
8 years old,
transition
yeah.
coming to the States at 8 years old. What
Yeah,
was
it
that
was.
like for you?
It was hard because I was a nerd, and I was a little bit chubbier at the time. So and I wasn't used to anything American culture, And I came, and like I distinctly remembered the Grant Hill felines were like the big thing when I came in.
Yeah.
And I got other felines that weren't the Grant Hill
Oh,
felines.
man.
So I got roasted for it.
You
And
started out in New York?
Yep.
You came right
Brooklyn.
to, yeah, you definitely
Came right
got
to
roasted.
Brooklyn.
I'm so sorry.
Came right to Brooklyn.
I'm so sorry.
I came right to Brooklyn, and I got roasted for it. And then, unfortunately, you know, I'm the kind of guy. Well, unfortunately, I'm the kind of guy that I kind of have to stick up for myself, and I would at the time. And then I discovered that I was able to actually defend myself physically.
So you can fight.
Naturally. Naturally. So I discovered that actually goes a long way when you are in New York in the 90s, in the hood.
From somewhere else?
Yeah.
Listen.
Yeah, especially from somewhere else. So that helped a little bit, but not too much because it's still, you know, it was a lot of bullying and whatnot. But I assimilated eventually, and, you know, it was great. And, you know, the moving around thing was something that is, I think, ingrained in my DNA because my mom used to live in Australia for a time.
Wow.
and the UK. So I think it's in my DNA.
You're kind of like a nomad. Where other places have your travels taken to you?
Yeah.
I know you mentioned China. You went to London. You studied in London. Where else have you gone?
Yeah, so I worked in China. I taught in China. Studied in London. I did my internship in Thailand, which is where I currently live now. And I volunteered in India.
Wow.
Yeah, and I visited other countries for, you know, recreation and travel, tourist purposes.
This man's been all around the globe. I cannot keep up with Jaire. I think he's around the corner. No, he'll be like, no, I'm in Thailand right now. I'm like, okay, whatever, you know,
Right.
show off. No, like that's where you're currently living right now. I know you went there before when we were younger, right?
Yeah.
And what is that experience like? Just picking up, you're an expat now. What's that like?
I mean, it's great. I love being an expat. I actually consider myself a global citizen because I don't just you know, go there and just live there, but I try to actually have a meaningful cultural exchange with the locals and get to know locals on an in-depth level as well as the culture, and exchange my perspectives with them as well. So, you know, with that in mind, I get to meet a lot of like really, really interesting people, but on a deeper level where it's like, you know, I don't just say I know this guy from Thailand. For example, I have a friend named Gorn in Thailand, and he just opened his second business, and he's doing very well, that kind of thing. So I try to make that, you know, a part of my travels everywhere I go.
So in regards to your coaching business, do you get a lot of clients from all over?
So most of the clients are from the U.S., mostly, you know, the West, I should say. But there has been interest from Thai people in coaching. I think the idea is new over there, so it's kind of like a novelty kind of thing, like see what this is about.
Right.
But there is some interest there, but mostly on the fitness side of things.
Right. So I want to dive into the fitness side. So I know you say you could fight back in the day. And you did like some martial arts. You did ninjutsu, you did boxing. Like, tell me about that.
Yeah, so high school, I did boxing for a little while. Some people might remember that I came in to class a few times with some you know, bruises and whatnot from a couple
They
matches.
thought you was getting beat at home, but that's not the case. You were fighting.
No.
His parents are good people, you know.
And then after that, I got into ninjutsu about probably 5 years after high school.
Wow.
Yeah, got into ninjutsu with a good friend of mine, Reggie, and
When
we
I
took
met
that
you,
together.
that's what you were doing.
Yes.
Ninjutsu.
Yeah, I think when you first met me, I was like a year in or something like that. Yeah.
Wow, that's so cool. So, what is that like aspect like in your business? What do you go over with people when it comes to like fitness and training in that regard?
Right. So as I take anthropology as the basis of everything that I do, because anthropology is basically the study of humans in all things that we do culturally, and so that informs my fitness. Right. So I take it in a holistic way, and everybody's a case by case basis, and I do an analysis of what you need to, you know, who you want to be, who you visualize yourself to be in the future, and where you can actually realistically take yourself, because there's the ideal self, there's your current self, and then there's the realistic self, right?
Right.
And so I try to incorporate, like, take what they think the ideal self is, and then
Try
incorporate.
to make it one.
Exactly.
That makes sense. I don't think a lot of people realize like we have like this kind of, I mean, from my perspective, it's like you're like the ego is version of yourself, and then you have like the super ego version, and then you have the guy in the middle who's who you really are.
Right.
And how do you have to manage all of those things and make them
Absolutely.
one. That's,
Absolutely.
I don't think, and with men especially, I don't think too many men put importance on that.
It's difficult. I definitely think, on a general sense, women are more aware or apt to take the dive or take the
Right.
plunge to explore that aspect of themselves. Men, you kind of have to pull it out of them. You have to kind of tease it out of them with certain things, because it's vulnerability.
Right.
And that's for most guys,
Right.
vulnerability is a big deal. So you kind of have to take that in stride.
I want to tap into a little bit about the social coaching you do. So you kind of have two aspects. You have like social interactions with like you and the world, but then you also have like romantic coaching. What is it like when you dive into that?
So the romantic coaching, it's a lot of, it's similarly behavioral stuff, right? But it's more along the lines of behavioral analysis and how to actually speak, verbal communication.
Yeah, because guys are weird when they approach like asking a girl out. They'll be like, "Hey, I like cheese fries. You want to eat some?" No, I'm
Yeah.
lactose intolerant, sir. Like,
Yeah.
they don't know how to really maneuver that. And it could be
Yeah.
the same thing at a networking event. They're
Absolutely.
like, "Hey, I'm Bob. I build things." Okay, Bob, that's nice. Goodbye. You know.
Right. So one of the things is trying to contextualize situations.
Right.
Like, that's one of the main things. Teaching the guys to identify when, where is a good place and a good time, and how to actually speak in that time and place. Because there's appropriate times and places for certain
I don't think
things.
enough men know that. Like, can you do like we need to do like a whole like segment on this, because I don't think enough men know that. Like, if you're walking down a creepy alleyway and you see a pretty girl, it's like I don't think
No, I'm
that's the
saying-
time to
yeah,
approach.
no,
Like, wait till you
no.
get somewhere it's like well lit. There's people around. She feels safer.
Right.
She's
That's-
sweating at the gym. Her kid is picking its nose at the grocery store, trying to ask her for that overly expensive sugary cereal, and
No,
she's
you're
like,
absolutely right.
those aren't necessarily the best times. What would you
absolutely
say
right.
is like an ideal time?
Well, the thing is, you can never really have an ideal time, but you can have a time where you have good signs. You have good signs that it's okay to approach. Like, one way, if a woman tends to, give you some eye contact but takes it away pretty quickly, but she continuously does that, it's an indicator she has some sort of interest in you. That interest is the next thing you probably should do is try to find a way that you can communicate to her that
Like,
you have
catch
some
your
interest.
gaze?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's.
You don't necessarily have to go directly in just yet. But catching her gaze and let her know that you have some interest or you acknowledge her presence, it helps.
Back in the day, I had so I'm going to let y'all in on a secret. I don't know how to flirt. I still don't know. I don't need to now. I have someone, but, I don't know how to flirt. But my thing was, like, I would flip my hair. So, like, I flipped my
That's a
hair and
sign.
looked at you. Like, you better come over and say what's up. If you don't, well, you missed your opportunity. So I've moved on to flipping my hair at that guy over there. But, like,
That's
we
definitely a
do,
sign.
women do have little cues. And in regards to like social interaction, what do you think is like a sign like someone's interested in just to get know you on a friend level? Like, especially guys amongst guys. Guys need friends. How do you
Yeah.
make a new guy friend?
See, I'm so happy you brought that up, because the guy-to-guy interaction and how to make friends is very weird,
Right.
Because there's a lot of guys are worried about being intimidated. A lot
Right.
of guys are worried about coming off as homosexual.
Right.
A lot of guys are just in general like scared to speak to anyone.
That's
in
true.
general, right? So one of the things in terms of signs, or guys to guys, is when you make eye contact with men, there's different types of eye contact between men.
Like the head nod's a good
Yeah,
one.
exactly.
Okay.
The certain eye contact between men where a face or eyes that are less, I guess, scowling or less down indicates
brood.
more approachable. If you
Okay.
obviously don't have somebody to introduce you to, right? So it gives you an opening a lighter face gives you an opening as well. It's kind of animalistic. It brings us back to our like ape days and our like our chimpanzee kind of days. They still do it actually now if you look on these documentaries. So there's ways that you can appease people and, you know, bring friendship in. One of the ways that we try to do that is maximize guys' self-awareness. So you should be aware of yourself and how you are moving in almost every single space in your waking day. Just in general.
Wow, I don't think guys pay attention.
No,
to
they
that
don't.
at all.
They don't. They
But
don't.
I think this is worth, like, this is a business a lot of y'all men need to seek out, sign up. Girls, get your man signed up for this. He needs it. There's
Right.
opportunities he's missing out on. I don't mean new girls, but I mean business opportunities, friendship opportunities, new
absolutely.
things that he can explore that enrich his life.
That's how I became, you know, introduced to the modeling. It was just
right.
a random, you know, willingness to speak to someone randomly coming up to me and not being flustered or not being awkward about it. It's just another person wanting to know how I am. And if it leads to anything beyond that, that's great.
Right. Listen, I think your life is so interesting. You've had so many experiences, amazing education. You've seen the world. What you're doing is enriching men and women's lives everywhere. What is, like, you've done so much. Like, what is the biggest goal you have set for yourself right now?
Wow. That's actually my life's goal, and I've been thinking about it for quite some time and how to make it work logistically. But this is for actually the African and African diaspora community. So what I want to do is a multifaceted program where, as an anthropologist, I can do a similar thing with how Israel has the right of return for Jews all over the world. I want to partner and liaison with the 13 African countries that the slaves of all the diaspora come from. And I know Ghana already has a situation like that where you can have a year of return. In the meantime, that's one aspect of it. The other aspect of it is to have these cultural meetings from the diaspora with these associated places, and you will have a research-based, not 23andMe or anything like that, but a research-based DNA genealogical association with it, so you can know which of those 13 countries, the modern countries, and what tribal designation you can have, and have associations with those current tribal leaders and organizations nowadays. So it's kind of like bringing back what erasure took away.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. You're enriching yourself. You're coloring in the erasure now.
Exactly.
Wow. Well, listen, I can't wait to see you. I know you will accomplish that because you're a goal chaser, you're a goal getter. And I look forward to seeing what that's like. I look forward to being a part of that experience. That'd probably be the only time I do like a genealogical research. And I just look forward to seeing how you grow. It's been such a great ride. I have one last question. It's the fun question. You are a melanated person like myself,
sure,
and you travel a lot. What's in your travel bag? Is it cocoa butter or Vaseline?
Actually, both.
Oh, see?
Both.
Okay.
Because my mom actually taught me back in the day, like, never be ashy. And wintertime especially is ashy season.
It's harder.
Yep.
To maintain
And
the
she
moisture.
told me, after the shower, Vaseline first, put the cocoa butter lotion on top, you'll be glowing and smooth.
That works for hair too. If you use your moisturizer first and then use the oil base and then you put the moisturizer on, and your hair will be shiny and nice and endure through the winter.
Yep.
Well, Jaire, thank you so much for coming on the That Sam Law Show. Where can my audience find you?
So you can find me on Leonine Consulting.com, as well as on social media such as Facebook at Jaire Donald, on Instagram at Anthrobro, and on LinkedIn as Jaire Donald.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being a guest on the That Sam Law Show, and thank you everyone for tuning in.